All right, Mark's going to help us film today's video. This is our introduction to fractions. So we're going to be taking a look at how to compare and order fractions, figure out which ones are bigger, which ones are smaller. So the first thing I want us to talk about, Mark, is I've got the fraction 1/6 here.
Yeah.
Can you tell me what we call the 1?
The numerator.
Right, so the number 1 is the numerator. What's the 6?
The denominator.
The denominator. What does the denominator represent?
It represents the amount of pieces there are.
Okay, so it's showing the amount of pieces that our whole is cut into. So I've got some fraction strips over here, and we've got the whole, and we've got this cut into 6 pieces, which means that it's in 6. What does the 1 represent?
It represents the one piece that you have or someone that you care about.
Okay, excellent. So it's the part of the fraction that we're actually looking at. So the first piece that we're going to do is we're going to look at how to compare fractions that have the same denominator. So Mark, when you see 1/6 and 1/3, I want you to walk us through your thinking.
Isn't it 3/6?
Sorry, 1/6 and 3/6. I want you to walk us through your thinking as to which one's.
So you're also, for this, you're going to want to have, since you'll only have one of these pieces, but if you have 3 of them, then you have this much from there. But if you have 1, then you only have this piece, this little munchkin.
Perfect. And if we have the same denominator, that tells us that all of our pieces are exactly the same size. Excellent. So you're going to copy down the next slide in your journal, and then we're going to move on. Okay, the next 2 fractions we have here are 3/4 and 3/6. So when I look at these two, I'm looking at 2 fractions that have the same numerator, but this time have different denominators. So Mark, why don't you walk us through your thinking on this one?
So you have 3 of the quarters, and then you also have 3 out of the 6. So which one are you gonna want? Well, it depends what you want. It depends what it is. So let's say it's a pizza, you're probably gonna want 3/4 instead of 3/6, because 3/4 is bigger. It's because 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3. So it would only be less than 2/4, and then you have 3/4, not 2/4.
All right, so what we're looking at here is that the 3/6 means that it's cut into 6 pieces. So you have 3 pretty small pieces, and the quarters are only cut into 4 pieces. So if you have 3 of them, you've got 3 big pieces.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Depends what you want.
Okay, our next 2 fractions are 7/8 and 3/4. So this time we don't have the same numerator and we don't have the same denominator. So Mark, what could we do?
So you can you can count them on the fraction strips. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3. So 8 is for the 8s, your 7/8, you're gonna have it right here, and then for 3/4, it's gonna be right there. So you're gonna be tied, but with the 7/8, you're gonna have a little extra piece. And so let's say you wanted to make it fair and then do this one out of 8 as well, because they're both common denominators, and then you can have 6/8. So that's why 7/8 is bigger, because 7 is bigger than 6.
Good. All right, so I've got a bunch of fractions here, and the last thing I'm going to ask Mark to do is to put them in order from smallest to biggest. So he's going to talk his way through this. You might want to give this a try before Mark does. So if you want to do that, pause the video, give it a try for yourself, and then we'll see what we got. All right, what's the smallest one here, Mark?
1/6.
All right, so let's...
It's the smallest because it has the biggest number, the smallest number on the top.
Okay.
And then next, I'm gonna put on 3/6.
3/6, okay.
Right there.
See if you can get that one to stick. Okay.
And then now I'm gonna put on 3/4.
All right.
And then put that right there. And then I'm gonna put on 7/8.
Okay, because we already figured that 7/8 was just a little bit bigger than 3/4.
And then you got your 1 1/3.
How do you know that that one's bigger?
Because it has 1.
Oh, okay, because it's more than 1, right? Okay, so now this leaves us with 2/5.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about where 2/5 is going to go. What do you think?
I think it's gonna go here because it's if it was 2/5, then it would have to be 2.5 out of 5 instead of 2, because this is half and this is not half.
Oh, okay. Excellent. Great thinking, Mark. All right, so what I'd like you guys to do right now is take a minute and do the page in your brand new fraction book that says ordering fractions at the top. So you've got sections of 3 fractions. Give those ones a try, and then I'll come back and we'll talk about what to do on the back of the page. All right, back of the page now. Let's give this a try now that we've had some practice. So now I've got fractions, decimals, and percents. Wow, that takes us back to chapter 4, right before Christmas. So what I need to do is make sure that I've got all of them in the same format. So just for fun, why don't we turn them all into percents? If I remember how to turn a fraction into a percent, I remember that percent is out of 100. So I can look at this already, and I know that I've now got 16%. To turn a decimal into a percent, I multiply by 100, which means I'm moving the decimal 2 spots. That is 27%. This one's already a percent. 53%.
I think the next one's 20%.
It is. This one's what we call a benchmark fraction. This is one that we should just be able to look at and know that that's 20%. So now I know that this is the smallest, next smallest, third, and this one would be the biggest. So you've got 2 other examples to do there. Let's take a few minutes, do those now, and then come back and we'll look at the bottom few questions on the page. All right, for these next 3 questions, we got to be real crafty and clever in our thinking. And what I'm looking for is for you to explain your thinking and show me what order the fractions belong in. So I've got 2/7, 1/4, and 2/9. Well, if I look at this, I'm going to start with these 2. And I remember back to the rules we looked at earlier. This is 2 little pieces. This is 2 bigger pieces.
Bigger, not big.
I'm going to put this here. I'm going to put this here, and now all I have to do is figure out where this one fits in. Well, it would be really easy for me if the numerator were a 2. Well, look at that. I can turn this one to 2/8, and obviously 2/8 is going to fit in between those 2. So when you're comparing and ordering your fractions, look for clues. Look for numerators that are the same. Look for denominators that are the same. Look at half. Okay, benchmark half, benchmark a whole. Well, obviously something that's bigger than 1 is going to be bigger than something that is less than 1. So look for those kind of clues. Show me those last 2 questions, and then tomorrow we're going to move on.
That's cool.